Hello and welcome to the long-awaited part 10 of putting Wagoneer Dana 44s under my Jeep XJ. As a few of you have definitely noticed, it's been a very long time since I've had a video or even mentioned it, really. Some of the comments are even verging on threatening. I'm watching you. You know you are. Anyways, I don't really have an excuse. Basically, it turned into winter last year, or the end of last year rather, and then come springtime I changed plans a little bit and then worked on some other things on the Jeep. Like I have, I put the rock rails under them, or not under them, I built rock rails into their Jeep, and I also had a bumper installed. And then I had also originally wanted to put a set of 410s in here that I had actually received, or not received, but I got with the set of axles. But I decided to change plans, and instead of re-gearing from 410s, or two 410s, and then gearing again up to 488s, I figured I might as well just go up to the 48s to start with. So that's what I did. I got ring and pinion front and rear from USA Standard. 488s I've already mentioned, and instead of doing it myself like I originally was going to do, I ended up actually paying somebody to do it for me, which worked out well. The shop provided to does very good work. Pricey, but you pay for good work, and I'm fine with that. Here, I'll bring you in, and I'll show you the gears and the axles. So this, of course, is the rear end. 48 ring and pinion. It does have an Aussie locker in it right now. At some point in the future, I'll probably will upgrade to a full case locker, as the Aussie locker will work, but full case locker is technically better. But this will get the job done decently well for its price, by the way. But the 488 ring and pinion, like I said, nicely installed, nice and clean. Perfect pattern, contact pattern for depth and whatnot, for where the pinion and the ring gear should meet. One thing to note is that this is actually a thick version of the gear. As you'll see when I show you the front, that's a normal standard size. The reason that this is the thick is because this is a standard carrier, meaning it's below the carrier brake. In a 44, the carrier brake is 373 and down, and then 392 to 1 and up. So because it's the standard one, the ring gear has to be thick to match up to the size of the pinion gear down there, since it's much smaller, being 48 gear. Anyways, the difference is pretty obvious, but it's in there very nice. This is, of course, the front axle. As you can see, the difference between the front ring gear and the rear ring gear is pretty obvious. This is the standard thickness ring gear, because this carrier is the 392 and up carrier, meaning that the carrier is what takes up the space to fill into the smaller pinion for the 48 gears. Also has a an Aussie locker up front. Both axles have Timken bearings for carriers and pinion, and there's national seals all the way around, pinion seal, axle seals, etc. Just like the rear. This axle is apart still, but that will change. These are, of course, the axle shafts for the rear. I figured I'd just show you because I wanted to show you. These are stock axle shafts for Dana 44. Got nice Timken bearings down here. I'll have to clean the dust out of those again. Put some more grease in there. Got the backing plates. And hanging up over here, hopefully you can see it, but at the front axle, the long side of the axle shaft, and the short side is up there. One thing I've started to do is collect parts to throw those axles under the Jeep and do some suspension upgrades as well. These are 5.5-inch leaf spring, or not leaf springs, quill springs for the front, and I have a set of 5.5-inch leaf springs to match for the rear. This is one of the long arms for the front end. It is made by Serious Off-Road Products. They're based out of Colorado, I believe. Very, very well made and very beefy. As you can see, it is very well made. It also has the cross member to go with it. Let's see if I can show you that. That is the cross member that goes with the long arms. It is pretty well made. That's a nice thick box steel right there. It does come with a little bit of a skid plate right here for the transfer case. Honestly, it would have been nice if it included more of a skid plate to cover more of the transfer case and transmission, but we'll see. Hopefully this will hold up well and protect my transfer case and other vital parts pretty good. Now this, I've been told, is overkill by one of my friends, but since when is overkill a bad thing? This is a front truss that will weld onto the front Dana 44 and will basically make that axle a bolt-on affair. It is made by a company called TNT Customs, as you can see. Very well made, nice and thick. Basically made custom to order whenever you order it. So you just have to tell them what application you want, and then they will build it for you. In that box is the rest of the brackets to make it work. Give me a second, I'll show you. Of course, it comes with instructions. And it comes with the lower control arm mounts. These are sway bar end link mounts. This is for the springs to sit on, got a driver and passenger, of course. And all the way on the bottom, are some bolts for the control arms. Almost forgot. Some strengthening brackets for the sway bar end links. But that's that. One of my friends suggested that I should lift the Jeep up using a jack on the rock rails that I've built to test the welds, as he's, of course, doubting my welding ability. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we are with jacking test number 1 on the passenger side. That popping sound you heard was not the rocker panels, that was actually the rear suspension. If it were the rocker panels, trust me, I would have got much more excited. But it worked out well. I'd say they pass, and just to prove it, just barely daylight. Also back there. This test is just to illustrate that the passenger door is still open and shut, no problem. With the vehicle jacked up on the rocker panel anyways.
So of course I also have to prove that it's possible to do on the driver's side with the vehicle jacked up by the rocker panels. No problems whatsoever.
Ta-da. So there you have it. That's where I've been. That's what I've been doing with the Jeep. Yes, I've fallen pretty far behind with the Jeep, but what kind of project doesn't? I mean, Noah's Ark wasn't built in a week, or will this Jeep ever be built in a week? Let's see. Next two things, of course, I got to get the rear end back together. I got to get the axle shafts back in it, of course, and I got to put the brakes back on. I'm gonna put that away in the storage. Then one thing I want to do before I put the front end away, though, is I'd like to get the axle truss welded on top of it, which it's not a hard job, but it's not that easy either, because you have to make sure that you line up the brackets and get the caster angle correct. Otherwise, you will, or I will, forever have a horrible handling Jeep. At least while that axle's under it. But there you have it. That was part 10. Stay tuned for part 11, 12, and to infinity.